We spoke earlier to the always excellent Loren Grush, Bloomberg's news space reporter, about what to expect. SpaceX stock is down about 30% from its debut, $150 market debut. It's down about roughly 50% from its all-time high. And we were talking yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, that valuation means Elon Musk's personal wealth valuation lost more money than anyone else has ever had.
Still very rich, Elon Musk.
Still incredibly rich. But what does this mean for investors come Tuesday?
Yes,
I'd be fine with it.
Don't shed a tear for Elon Musk.
But if you're an investor and you're looking at this on next week on Tuesday, what does this make you think?
Well, I think what's interesting about this, and at least for me, is we're kind of in uncharted territory when it comes to SpaceX. This is our first earnings call. They've been a notoriously private company for a very long time. So I think we're all kind of going into this together a little unclear about what exactly we're looking for. I know personally what I am looking for are going to be updates on how they're going to get to that really ambitious roadmap that they sold the entire IPO on, right? So AI data centers in space, the V3 satellites, progress on Starship. I think those are going to be the things that will really, move the needle in terms of, are they actually making progress there? And then I know that, when it comes to their AI investments, that's going to be a huge part of it too. One of the things we saw when they were going public is just how much CapEx goes into that AI infrastructure and work. That took me by surprise, as a space reporter. So I think that will also be a big narrative and something that investors are looking at going into the earnings call next week.
You talk about the notorious privacy of this company going through the IPO process. We did glean some more information about the way that it operates and its ambitions, as you've been describing here on the show. We're going to hear from Elon Musk presumably as well, or not? Are we going to hear from Gwynne Shotwell, the head of it? Sort of, what's your sense of what we're going to hear or not from Elon Musk about the performance over the last quarter?
I mean, I assume that Elon will be there. If you can predict what Elon is going to say, I'm going to come to you for all my financial advice, because I think he can be quite, hard to pin down. But yes, he probably will wax poetic about many of the things that we often hear him say about when it comes to SpaceX, about, the importance of making life multiplanetary and, being excited about the future. I anticipate some of those go-to lines, but in terms of what he's going to say about the business, again, this is all new for me. For the past, however long I've been covering this company, I've never gotten this kind of access. So it will be interesting to see what a public-facing company like SpaceX will be like.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see something we talked about last time we had you on, which is the profitability breakdown of the different sectors of the company. We were talking about how the Starlink is really what's like propping up a lot of those other more speculative goals of Musk. But he also really needs capital for all the things you just talked about, all the places investors are going to want to see progress. If that valuation, if the stock doesn't rebound, where's he going to get that money?
Well, I think for now, they're probably in a really good place, right? They raised, $85 billion through that IPO. That's a huge amount of capital. And I think they're going to be, well satisfied with that for the time being. I guess where it might get tricky is down the line if they need to raise funds again, if they want to do any kind of acquisitions, then the stock price will come into play. For now, I think they are probably in a good place and have a lot of leverage when it comes to what that money that they've raised. But as we've seen, the rocket business and the AI business is a very capital intensive structure. And so perhaps they will need money down the line, and then that will become a problem. But I think for now, they're probably sitting pretty on that $85 billion.
Oh, all right. Okay.
During the IPO process, there was some talk about Elon Musk consolidating his empire, maybe Tesla merging with SpaceX. And there was this report in the Wall Street Journal last week indicating that maybe he would consider kind of splitting off Tesla's Chinese business from the business as a whole. I'm curious of what that conversation is like. We have seen SpaceX obviously become a conglomerate in its own right, incorporating Starlink, and yes, the rocket business. It's the AI business. It's become like a much broader thing. What did that report kind of make you think? Again, Bloomberg hasn't confirmed it's a journal report, but just about his ambitions when it comes to his larger corporate empire.
Sure. I would say that, years before now, I would have put a a merger between SpaceX and Tesla, that would not have been on my bingo card. But what also I didn't anticipate was the merger or the acquisition of XAI with SpaceX. So I think we're, nothing is out of the question at this moment. So I think we're all kind of anticipating that it could potentially happen. And one of the, I think a big tell for me personally was, Gwen Shotwell, when she was asked about it directly, did not downplay it. To me, that seems like a big indicator that it's definitely on the table. So whether or not it's going to happen, if it's a done deal, that's still an open question. But I think if it were to happen, I don't think anybody would be terribly surprised at this point.
Let's say Elon Musk calling it fake news on X. Just want to, it's a formal statement.
Well, there's that.
It's a formal statement from Elon.
I'm not engaging on that. Let's pivot a bit. How is Starship doing? Because we saw the 13th test of that rocket. How important was that flight? And then what's next for Starship and these missions to the moon and beyond? We talked about the prospectus being all these pictures of Mars missions and data centers in space and space stations. Is this going according to the plan? Is there a plan?
Well, the last Starship test, I think, couldn't have gone much better. Obviously, there's room for improvement always, but it really completed its mission end to end. And as you're, showing in that video there, the Starship vehicle actually did this fun little belly flop in the ocean rather than blow up.
It doesn't even look real. I mean, watching this video, it's crazy.
I know. It's really, I would say SpaceX's production work is on par with their rocketry skills.
I would agree with that. Yep.
But, I have to come in and give some caveats. There is a long laundry list of things that they need to do in order for Starship to be an operational vehicle, both as a launch provider and then also as this, deep space vehicle that can take cargo and eventually people to the moon and Mars. So it was definitely a great step, but, there's still a lot that needs to be done. A reminder that Starship needs to be refueled in orbit in order to go to distant destinations. That's a type of technology that has never been done at the scale that Starship is going to need to be done at. So, there's still quite a lot left. They might be on track very soon to be launching satellites, but there's still, they still got some tweaks that they need to figure out. And then, we actually did some reporting this past week that, there's some experts that are questioning whether the heat shield on Starship is actually going to be able to enable rapid reusability of the vehicle, because it still seems to be suffering damage and cracks when it comes back from space. And that really can't happen if they're going to be launching back to back to back. So, they're still in research and development mode. There's still some work they've got to do. It's a very ambitious vehicle, though, so that's not surprising.
There's an old guy in my neighborhood. He sets up a telescope.
Are you not the old guy in your neighborhood?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Telescope on the street. Amateur astronomer. Often it's pointed at the moon, and if you walk by at night, he'll let you take a look at the moon. I gather, Loren.
Lovely.
It's lovely. Wanted to get that out there. On Wednesday, if I were to look at the moon, I gather there's a chance that I could see an old SpaceX rocket crashing into it. What's the likelihood this is going to happen? What's the backstory here, Loren?
Yeah, so there is a Falcon 9 upper stage. It's the upper portion of the rocket that was left in space after completing a mission, and it's actually on a path that's going to intersect with the moon. And from what I understand, yes, the debris plume might actually be visible if you're out there watching for it. So this actually has happened before. Other rockets, the pieces of them that have been left over after a mission have actually intersected with the moon before. It's nothing to worry about. Our moon will be fine. We've also crashed things into the moon before intentionally. But I think what it also illustrates is, the fact that we have junk in space. Space junk has always been a big problem, and we really don't like having things that stick around in the space around Earth that we don't have control over. And so this just kind of illustrates part of that problem. But for now, it's a neat little byproduct of a past mission that you might be able to see from Earth.